The Fujifilm Fujinon 80mm f1.7 RWR. It's a beautiful thing with some flaws, but then the most attractive things generally are that way. We're going to check it out up close, throw up some very random, rough and ready, unedited samples, and then it's going to be over to you in the comments below with a little bit of waffle from me in between, of course. Anyway, let's crack on. Here she is then, up close. Let's get this lens cap off. Nice snap cap there. As you can see, this is a loaner, come with a 77mm protector. So 77mm, decent, not too bad. We've got a nice rubber manual focus ring. Now for this lens, I'm not too worried about manual focusing, but that is a very healthy and smooth bit of manual focusing right there. Now here you'll see we've got the C mode and the A mode with nice clicks, but if we hold the button down, we can go into the aperture range, so 22 to 1.7. Once you get to 2, you've got nice third stops. Absolutely beautiful, nice solid clicks, audible if you're in the right situation. I do like that. Now the focus range starts at 70 centimeters. It weighs a healthy 795 grams. We do have this nice well-fitting lens hood, as you should expect for a lens at this level. Beautiful thing, nice big chunk of a lens. 12 elements in 9 groups, 1 aspherical and 2 super ED. Of course, on the GFX system, we're getting an equivalent of 63mm in 35mm format with an angle of view of 37.7 degrees. So it's quite a big chunk, as you can imagine. A lot of glass in there, you know, a lot of resolving power to deal with. In my case, the 102 megapixel sensor. You know, as a short portrait lens, short telly, yeah, decent build, well, excellent build quality, let's be honest. Not a small lens, as you can imagine, but yeah, happy about that. Let's see how we get on with it. Considering this is the fastest autofocus lens in the GFX system, at the time of putting this together at least, it's got some work to do to stand up to the test of time. Now the 110 set the bar very high, and this is, you know, kind of similar in many ways, albeit this 80mm is more general, more tele standard perhaps. You do get a nice amount of compression, while the focal length, you know, it isn't particularly long at all. As I said, fairly standard tele experience. As with all the GF lenses I've used properly, the build quality is first class and an absolute treat to use. It's not the lightest lens around, so be prepared to carry around almost 1700 grams. Be prepared to carry a bit of a chunk around with you. It's not a big deal for some, but if you're using it in the studio, it's even less of a question. All in all, it feels like a real chunk on the GFX 100S that I'm using it on, and it's a good fit in the real world. I wish it focused closer, and yes, when we think about the autofocus itself, things do get a little less, let's say, ideal. The lens uses a DC motor, so you'll hear the autofocus, and it's relatively slow to go from 70 centimeters to infinity and back. In the real world, it's not a huge problem, but there's definitely room for improvements. There's also some way to go with the face and eye detection, but it's still fairly fast and usable, fairly reliable, and for most portrait shooters, it shouldn't be an issue. Even in low light, it doesn't hunt around that much considering, and it's pretty usable in reasonably experienced hands. Here's some autofocus tests to give you an idea what we're working with, all done, of course, with this GFX 100S. Image quality is basically excellent, and you'd expect nothing less. Sharpness where it counts is pleasing. It's nothing to ruin a portrait, and it's basically very, very good. Now, corner sharpness does fall off, but that's totally fine, given that the lens is best suited to, environmental portraits and the like short telework. Even around f16 and 22, it's all still very good. Now, there are MTF charts out there that back up what we're seeing in the real world, of course, and the figures on those are high. The lens does have a bit of a character, so it works well for portraits while not sacrificing any crucial image quality factors. I do love the 1.7 aperture, along with ISO 100 and the IBIS of this camera. You get a very potent combination with this setup. Shadow detail is excellent, and the colors rendered are faithful. Here's a quick aperture stop down test, all at ISO 100, no change in light, just going through the range quickly to see how it affects the image quality. Chromatic aberration is fairly minimal. I mean, in high contrast scenes, it does struggle a little bit with fringing, so it's not all perfect, of course. But, flaring, distortion, and the like are kept low. But what's really stand out, as you'd hope, is the bokeh. It really is one of the big, let's say, selling points of this lens. It's beautiful. Even in less than ideal conditions, you can get images that pop and appeal. lot of torn between this and the 110. For me, the 110 is more appealing, but this is more versatile. It's almost another apples versus oranges comparison, as they're not directly similar, but I get it. Now, this is lighter, cheaper, has a slightly faster aperture. It's got a lot to ask for, even if the autofocus lets it down at times. It's like the strives in modern capability of this system has us forgetting its current limits and feeling disappointed at times when things like the autofocus aren't quite there. Really, for what's on offer with this setup, it's a minor issue and it can only get better going forwards. But at £2,099, is it worth it? Well, it's pretty much what I expect it to be. And if you need the focal length and that beautiful image quality at the widest aperture possible, and you're okay with the loud focus motors and maybe the fringing in high contrast scenes, then sure, go for it, have fun. More importantly though, let us know how you feel about this lens in the comments below, and I'll see you there.